The Great Gatsby is a story that follows the perspective of Nick Carraway, a man who has moved to New York for the business of selling bonds. He also occasionally spends time with Daisy Buchanan, his cousin, her husband Tom, and her friend Jordan Baker. One night, he is invited to a party hosted by the illustrious Jay Gatsby. After befriending this man, he not only learns that Gatsby is keeping a lot of dark secrets, but that he and Daisy Buchanan were once lovers. The Good. Despite the fact that I don't really like the book that much, the story is pretty solid and it is memorable. The way this movie was presented cinematically, visually, and emotionally held my interest pretty easy. I thought the actors chosen for this movie were marvelous and did a great job. Tobey Maguire as Nick? Great choice. Leonardo DiCaprio as Jay Gatsby? Match made in heaven. Carey Mulligan as Daisy? Admittedly, I didn't know who Carey Mulligan was before this movie, but she played Daisy as a cynical woman who had seen all sorts of things in the world because of her entitlements, but because of this, there was nothing exciting left in the world and she was left a cynic. And I thought she played this very well, because it is keen to how Daisy is like in the book. And let me just say, it's much preferable than the Dids who played her in the other Gatsby movie, like in the 1970s.
Nick? Is it really you?
Also noteworthy are the actors playing George and Daisy's husband, Tom Buchanan. Their performances serve the story very well, but as a fan of the show Survivor, I will never hear the name Tom Buchanan without thinking of this Tom Buchanan.
Big goddamn want to come up there and make a big gob of love.
I read the book thinking that Tom Buchanan was Daisy's husband. The Iffy. The soundtrack of this movie is really good in places, a little odd in others. There were some rockish type songs that felt like they could sort of fit in with 1922, not to mention they made the trailers really cool. There was also some classic music from that time period, like jazz and other swing music. However, there were also rap songs used in some places, and I thought these felt really out of place. They conveyed the mood of a morally bankrupt party pretty well, but the music itself did not fit. The Bad. Some important elements of the book were left out, notably near the very end. The overarching narrative of the movie is that Nick Carraway is in a mental hospital telling this whole story to his psychiatrist. I'll admit that gives a pretty good reason for Nick to be narrating the story throughout the movie. However, using that saying as intermission for the story every now and then rather than having that one important scene near the end of the movie, I didn't think that was the right way to go. Might be because it was a school assignment, but when I had to read this book in my junior year of high school, it bored me to tears. The story, as I said, was pretty solid, and this movie presented that story in a way that actually made me like it pretty well. Couple that with great casting and wonderful emotional performances, you got a pretty good movie right here. This is Detective Steve, and this Gatsby is indeed great. See you next time on Casual Reviews.
No ship should go down without her captain.